Coming up, a Sad Styles production.
Get into it.
And welcome to the Retrograde Video Game Podcast, where this week we celebrate our 300th episode by looking back at one of the most iconic video games of all time.
Are you going to say the game or no?
Oh, it's Super Mario Bros.
Oh, my name is Andrew Basketball. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey, Mr. 300, Aaron Worth. And that's right, Mr. Not a partnership. I did it all on my own.
Yeah, just on your shoulders.
Honestly, with the amount of attention that I get from our loving and adoring fans, it feels like Mr. 1000, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, 100%. 300, also the average of good episodes that we're batting. One of every three. But not this week's. This week's is a good one because we're playing Super Mario Bros. We just played it over on YouTube, so please go check that out. Check out the gameplay. But now we're here to talk about our thoughts for the game.
We are here to talk about our thoughts and also just some of the history of the game as well. Obviously, this being our 300th episode, we do want to, how do I put this lightly, jerk ourselves off a little bit.
100%, yes.
Celebrate some of our achievements of the podcast. We put it out there to all the listeners to send us some nice mail, some of their thoughts, some of their memories and all that. So we've gathered up as much of that as we could, and we're going to be reading some of that a little bit later and talking about some of our thoughts and impressions of just this podcast in general. We're going to save that until after the episode so that new listeners, because there always are new ones every week who come for the Super Mario Bros. Can get that right off the bat, and then maybe get to know us a little bit before we start, how to put this delicately, slobbering each other's knobs a little bit.
Right, yeah. A proverbial 69 of compliments.
And I mean, you maybe not proverbial.
No, we might be literally having a sex act on this podcast.
It's possible.
Hey, anything could happen now at this point.
We used to tease the naked episode.
Yeah, that we would do it a naked episode.
Where one of us is sitting on the other person's lap.
Yeah, that is the part that I think would be a bridge too far. I'd have no problem just sitting here naked for an hour and a half. That's no problem. Your sharp buttocks digging into my thigh.
Wait, why am I sitting on your lap?
Oh, you want me to sit on your lap?
Well, let's do it.
Okay, absolutely.
Maybe we do
my sweet soft bottom.
We've been talking about ways in which we can talk about not just games on podcasts in general. And like maybe that's the idea, is like we can talk about whatever we want as long as we record nude in each other's laps. Like that's
what are those two nude freaks going to talk about this week? That's what someone would say.
Andrew, you just came up with the name of the podcast. Two nude freaks. This, and we will get to Super Mario Bros. In a second here.
Sure.
Look, we've had, it's been a while since it's come out. We can take a couple more minutes to talk. Exactly. Came out in 1985. We can take our time. This new video was served to me that I think is my favorite thing that's ever existed on the internet. It was on Instagram, and it's a guy who's eating raw chicken every day until he gets a tummy ache. So he eats a raw chicken breast and downs like a glass of raw eggs every day until he gets a tummy ache. I think he's on day 9 or something.
He has not had a tummy ache?
No.
Does he have salmonella?
Probably.
Yeah. It's funny enough, salmonella is one of the I don't know byproducts of salmonella. Not tummy aches.
No,
but death.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, is that true? I don't think so.
Oh God, I don't know.
Are you a doctor?
No, just play one on podcast.
Why are you wearing a stethoscope?
Because I like hearing the beat of my own heart.
Oh, so you just kind of plug that in to make yourself feel comfortable?
Yeah. Wait, am I still alive? Yeah. 100%.
Oh, sure. What if you put it on and weren't beating anymore?
I would be like, oh, I can do whatever I want. I've left this mortal plane. I can just float through walls, go see what's going on. I don't know.
What is the
what
first
would you do?
thing?
Yeah, what would you do if not? How about not if you're a ghost? It's the same thing. If you're invisible, would you do the same stuff?
Well, no, it is different because if you're invisible, someone can accidentally bump into you in the shower. I mean, doing whatever you're doing.
It's hard not to go immediately going like, what's the most illegal thing I could do?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would go very petty just to make sure, because my fear would always be that in the middle of the act, that's when the batteries run out or whatever.
So we've talked about this. This is the Groundhog Day.
The Groundhog Day
where he is like murdering people. Like there was an area of the movie they didn't go into because it was super dark. And you and I have always said we would have such trouble getting into that part because we'd be afraid that would be our last day. That's the day it kicks back out.
Like that's what the test is.
Yes.
Like whatever. Look, if you're in a world where the day is repeating, who knows? God might be real. It's possible.
I can't rule anything out anymore.
Honestly, even at this point in my day-to-day life, I can't rule it out.
See, but you're saying the petty stuff. Like I wouldn't trip somebody. I don't think that's funny.
No, I would be a really funny invisible person.
Okay, go on.
I would walk into I would stand in an elevator after eating Chipotle for like 3 days straight. And every time 2 people walk in, I would rip one. And to
right
those,
in the middle.
To those people, the rest of their lives, they're going to tell the story how the other person ripped a fart and denied it.
Yes.
Flatly to their face. They're both going to believe it. You've created a truth for these two people.
Yes.
That will never be broken, even
No.
though neither of them are correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good one. I think I would do a thing where like people like, like a short order cook would turn to put something on the plate and I would just slide the plate a little bit. And you just like put it down. I was like, what the fuck? And just like move it a little bit. Really make someone think they're having like a full mental break.
Or I would go like if a couple's on a date or something like that and they're about to lean in for a kiss, I would just put my hand in there.
Or I would also be the third in the kiss. It's like, well, that felt weird. It's like, you used a lot of tongue in that. I was like, I didn't use any tongue.
or you eat a bunch of onions.
Okay.
And then every time they go in to kiss, you just blow hot air into both of their noses and they think their partner has really bad breath.
I thought when you started, I thought you're like, and they're about to kiss. And you're like, I rip a huge fart. And I was like, Mikey, not every single one could be about you ripping a fart.
No. That's a good idea. Okay, never mind the onions. I fart in the face as they're kissing. Andrew, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea that if you're doing that thing like in a movie where you're like, he's invisible, but then they show him every other scene, like to show exactly perspective wise, and just they're getting closer, nothing, getting closer, bare ass. Just right there. Oh God, that's so funny to me. Just give them both pink eye.
Oh man. That's what I would do, I think.
I think that's a really good idea, Mikey.
Yeah, I can't imagine what else. I would also like carry things and make them seem like they're floating a lot.
Yes.
I would go if someone were about to throw a paper airplane.
Yeah.
I would stand right in front of it and I fart.
Like help propel it with your flashlight?
No, just fart.
Just fart. Oh God. Just what are the areas you could do this? Like standing in a church, I do wang, just large fart noise.
I'd go to
Funerals.
a funeral.
Yeah.
Funeral would be it. I would get into the casket. Well, I guess if I'm just invisible, I don't want to get in the casket with them.
Also, now you're negotiating with that ghost who's probably watching his own funeral.
I think I'd get on good terms with that ghost.
Yeah. Do you want to see the funniest thing of all time? I've been doing it all day.
Listen, I know you're sad that you're dead, but look at what you got to look forward to.
Yes.
This is going to be the best time of your life.
Who are you closest with? When they lean into the open casket, I am going to fart in their face.
Yeah, that would be good. If you're invisible, go to a funeral and every time they lean in to say their respects or whatever, be like, I never loved you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
And then fart.
Or like a lot of like, I know what you did.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because the worst part is something vague like that. It's like a horoscope. You'll find a reason to attach it in your life.
Oh, 100%.
He's like, he knew I took that $2 when I was a kid. Or whatever it is, right? Yeah.
Or you go like just strangers on the street and you go like whisper in their ear like Jackson.
Yeah.
Like call them a name
Yes.
and they're like, I'm not fucking Jackson.
Yeah.
But every time.
Nana says hello.
Yeah.
You're like, Nana's still alive. What the hell?
Call your mother.
Call your mother's always a good one.
Yeah. I called my mother when she was out getting groceries one day and I said, bring me home Super Mario Bros. And she did.
Well,
That's not a true story, but it'd be cool if it were.
Yeah.
Let's talk Super Mario Bros.
Famously sold at grocery stores.
Grocery stores across the land.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, we'll talk a little bit more 300th episode and get to some of those nice letters in a little bit. But we want to get straight into the Super Mario Bros. And keep in mind, if you're new to this podcast, we are going to say Mario a lot.
Oh, yeah. We're going to say it wrong.
Yeah.
We're going to
All
go
the time.
vacillate just quickly between Mario and Mario.
Yeah.
And it's not our fault and there's nothing you can do about
Just like when we played the gameplay section over on YouTube, you can find it, youtube.com/Podcast. We always have our gameplay segments over there. We started off terrible. It wasn't
really
fun
bad
for anyone.
Yeah.
But you get used to us.
Yeah, you do. Hey, this is 300 episodes and we have a surprising amount of listeners. So
Can we ask this?
Yeah.
We don't do it often anymore because I feel like it feels a little bit like we're nagging people, but
Sure.
I want to put a call out there for people to leave us reviews on whatever platform you're listening to. The review that I want to ask you to leave, 5 stars, you get used to them.
You get used to them.
Yeah. That would be, if we got like 70 of those, that would be so funny.
Oh my God, that is the perfect byline review of this podcast.
Please do that. I really want to start seeing some of those reviews go out there.
Reviews, 5 stars. 5 stars. That's
5
important.
stars. Yeah.
You get used to them.
You get used to them.
I love it.
Okay, so this is a game that came out. It was released September 13th, 1985 on the Famicom. In Japan, it was released October 1985 in the US, and not until May 15th, 1987 in Europe.
Suck it, UK.
Suck it big.
You know what? You know who you can
fucked over-
blame?
Who? The Irish?
Well, they will, but no, I was going to go with the Queen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she's dead now, so and
Yeah.
she's just farting in people's date faces. And
I'm so happy.
Happy Christmas. Oh, God,
There were two things I wanted in my life. One is for a cup to be modeled after my breast, and the other was to fart in people's faces.
I wanted 9 corgis and giving people pink eye on dates.
There's also an interesting story about the release of this game. Like it says October 1985, but that's kind of disputed because there was kind of a test release. This is like a lot of people forget there was a big video game crash in 1983 and Super Mario and the Nintendo were credited with kind of saving it really. Yeah. And because of that, there was a test market release in the US. It did well and they kind of brought it to more and more markets after that. So the actual initial date of release is questioned a little bit.
Okay.
Even some game historians who have written books about Super Mario Bros. Have changed their data a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
There's not like a famous advertisement in a magazine that they could point to is going like on sale this Friday.
I think the thing is like it was released probably before magazines. Like
magazines existed. What the hell is that?
Invented? But I mean,
when do you think magazines were invented?
Before they started to advertise this in magazines, they're like, let's just put it out there and see how it goes. So maybe the earliest they found was October. I don't know.
I don't know, like especially American ones. Like in Japan, I don't know, understand. But like American, there's catalogs. You know, like you get a Sears catalog, they would sell electronics in it. You know, I'm just very curious. Yeah.
I am too, Andrew. I don't have the answer for it. I would love to. If you know out there and you are Shigeru Miyamoto, give us a heads up.
That would be the weirdest day of our lives when he replies to us. And,
yes.
And he just goes, you get used to them. And it's like, oh, he's a fan.
He's like, 2 things. One, it came out in October 1985.
Thank you.
2, you were right about losing 2 things of health when you lose your fire flower, which happened in the gameplay, which I forgot about this game. If you have the fire flower and you get hit, you go back to small Mario. You don't go back to, not
to Mushroom Mario.
Yeah, that was very frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating.
True or false, Andrew?
Yes. Okay,
what were you going to say?
I was going to say the only reason we didn't finish the game.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
If we had only lost the one, still playing today.
Bowser was shaking in his boots.
Yeah.
Because he was
inside job.
Why?
Just an inside job that they Bowser was, made that rule so that we would not be able to.
Oh, so Bowser programmed this game?
I think Bowser paid the right people. If you know what I mean.
Oh, and he's got a lot of coins to deal with.
Oh boy, does he! Where do you think all these coins are coming from? He's storing them all
so
across
rich
the land.
That he just drops them and doesn't even care about it.
Yeah.
Do you know that in the time it takes Bill Gates to bend over to pick up $100 bill, if he makes more in that time than the $100 bill?
Do you know his name was Donald Gates, and then he started making so much money they started calling him Bill Gates?
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
Did you know?
Okay.
Did you know? And this is true.
I probably didn't.
His name was Donald Microsoft at first.
Okay.
And then oh shit! Wait, I fucked up.
But you said this was true.
Fuck yeah!
So you just don't remember
the truth.
Okay.
Because this world is just a projection of my inner thoughts, and I think I just changed
Miyamoto's
the world.
favorite part of our podcast. He's like, I like when they can't remember facts.
True or false, Andrew?
Yes.
This is the first Mario game.
False.
You are correct. Any chance you know what the first Mario game
Not
is?
a hope. I'm just assuming. I'm just getting into your brain after 300 episodes.
It's a good way to get the fact out there, but I think a lot of people believe that this is the first Mario game.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the first appearance of Mario. Everyone knows that's Jumpman in Donkey Kong.
Yes.
There was a 1983 arcade game called Mario Bros. Directed by Shigeru Miyamoto and Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the Game Boy, and a 1983 Game & Watch game, which I think came out actually slightly earlier than the arcade game, in which they're not plumbers. They work in like a bottling factory, and you have to pretty much like bottle things, package them, and put them on a truck that's waiting to leave.
Wow, very different.
Took them a while to figure out what it was that these guys do, much like Chunky from I Think You Should Leave.
Oh, he's got to figure out what he does.
He's got to figure out
he
what
all
he
summer.
does. He had all summer.
Yeah.
Shigeru Miyamoto had all of 1983. It started
1985.
Super Mario Bros. Started as a spin-off originally to Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
It's was occasionally called the third game in that franchise, which actually kind of made sense.
Oh, okay.
Mario, who in... the Mario. This is the Mario Bros. Game that I'm talking about specifically, the arcade game.
Yeah.
In it, Mario, which he weirdly has a blue hat, and Luigi were brothers and plumbers. Yeah. You're investigating the sewers and killing creatures down there.
Yeah.
So like you're actually serving the role of of plumbers.
Okay, I'll say this now. I've always thought the plumbing thing was a very loose stretch. That they're like, oh, they're plumbers, and I'm like, yeah, but based on what? Like,
so it's pretty much based on Mario Bros, the original
Wow.
arcade game. So they're down there and they're killing like turtles, like real turtles and crabs, the occasional fly, and then there's like some fireballs and stuff like that.
Of course.
It's New York.
Yeah.
Which it actually was. It was the sewers of New York.
Really?
Yeah, and it was an arcade game where you couldn't jump on the enemies. That was only changed in Super Mario Bros. But you had to get like under them and jump on the little platforms to kind of flip them over, and then you can jump on them. Yeah,
so quite the opposite.
quite the opposite. Yeah, you have to get,
Not-
but not entirely, because if they're on top of a block in Super Mario Bros. And you jump and flip the block, then it flips the enemy. So that kind of technology
that
was
stuck
still
around.
used.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is kind of the thing that I find so weird. Like Mario started out as this spin-off to Donkey Kong. He was just a character in Donkey Kong's world. And then now we have Super Mario Bros. We start with that. 2, 3, Super Mario World, Mario Wonder. Mario is the icon in Nintendo. It would be like if Matt LeBlanc left Friends and Joey became way more popular than Friends was.
Yeah,
Like it's kind of crazy to think about how that
Or,
happened.
you know, like the truth that happened. This little shitty show called Cheers birthed a much superior Frasier.
Uh-huh. I knew you were going to bring that up, but like realistically, Frasier isn't heads and shoulders more popular
No, I'm
than
joking.
Cheers.
Cheers
Right? Okay, I
is
was gonna
still
say,
a much more
yeah,
established
yeah.
show. Even though I think Frasier won a ton more Emmys, but who the hell cares about
That's
that?
because smart people claim they love Frasier because
Yes.
it's dry and he's British.
He's not British.
Yeah, he is.
Who, Frasier Crane?
Is he not British?
No.
His brother is.
No,
Niles
neither of them are. Niles, very good. No, their father was a Seattle police officer from
What?
America. Yes, and that's naturally the they don't understand each other because he was a blue collar cop and he's an elitist psychiatrist.
That's hilarious.
Yes, it's very good. I know we are saying the exact same thing, but have very different meanings behind it. You're like, that's very good. I'm like, it is.
I'm
very
being
good.
sarcastic, and you are being entirely sincere
so
about
sincere. It's crazy.
it.
Any more Frasier Crane facts? No.
No, but I wanted to ask you this because there's been a massive change in lore in Mario. Like assuming that this, or not assuming, knowing that Mario Bros took place in the sewers of New York, and the actual lore of Super Mario Bros, the game that we were talking about today, is that while they were down in the sewers of New York, this is just like the movie that just came out last year.
Yes.
While they were in the sewers of New York, they find a weird pipe, they go through it, and it takes them to the Mushroom Kingdom. That is the actual lore of Super Mario Bros, which obviously I didn't understand. There's no story in the game. You have to read the manuals and whatever. But has there ever been such a change in the lore of a well-known property as that? Like, can you think of any other examples?
Yeah, honestly,
even?
off the top of my head, no. But it's like if they did an offshoot game and they're like, oh, they go to a mystical land one time and people are like, we like that way more. It's like, well, that's where we're going there.
Yeah,
That's it
exactly.
from here on out. Man, that's tough. I don't know. Other than like, you could talk about like remakes of expanding something that was a very simple game and turning it into a much bigger game, like a Red Dead.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at.
But like changing, like Red Dead changed to kind of a broader version of the same idea.
Yeah.
This is like entirely different.
Entirely different. Yeah.
The one I can think of is like, what
Maybe
was
Sonic?
it?
Sonic,
Yeah,
I'm going to run
Sonic's
around, get
changed-
rings, and help the environment. And now I'm trying to nail women and
trying
chili
to
cheese dogs.
nail women.
Also, I might get a handgun. You're like, whoa, what is this?
Maybe, what was the J.J. Abrams show? Is it Felicity?
Yeah.
And he went to the network and is like, I have an idea. She's been a spy this whole time. And they're like, no. And then he made Alias as a result, but he wanted to make Felicity, which was basically just like this fluff thing, into what became Alias after like 6 seasons.
That would have been awesome.
Wouldn't it have been so cool?
That actually, people would have gotten whiplash, but it was really cool. No, that was like, what's it called? Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. You like them apples?
What the
hell?
Saving...
No,
no. Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. Thank you very much. There was a whole...
Which I just watched for the first time 2 weeks ago.
What do you think of it?
I think we watched it at the wrong time. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a very mediocre movie with a ton of memorable lines. And I think it would have been
also Minnie Driver being adorable.
Minnie Driver was great.
Yeah.
I think it's the kind of thing, it's more like Garden State than anything else, where it's like if you watch it at a certain age, you want to see yourself as the Matt Damon character. You're like, oh, he's perfect and he's so much better than everyone else that no one understands him and they have to pry his own insecurities out of him. Everyone wants to be that.
Can I just, okay, 2 things. I want to talk about Saving Private right. Good Will Hunting.
Yep.
If anyone wants to just edit a clip of Garden State where Natalie Portman makes Zach Braff listen to the Smiths for the first time and just put our podcast over the earphones instead, that would be really great.
I would love that.
Find the most ridiculous moment, maybe even hear where Mikey's talking about farting in people's faces. The second thing is, in Good Will Hunting, the third act was supposed to be how the CIA discovers Will Hunting, and they try and like kill him or something like that. And the all around good guy, Harvey Weinstein was like, I think we could just make it a local story about the boys in Boston.
Yeah.
They're like, good idea, and then they win an Oscar for it. And then I don't know whatever happened to Harvey Weinstein. I think he just went away. But
That's the thing. He's got to come back.
Yeah, he's good at this.
He's so good at making movies.
God, every clip you hear and everyone just making a joke about Harvey Weinstein, I'm like, so we all knew for like 40 years.
Everyone apparently knew. It's wild.
Cool.
Here's another true or false.
Yeah.
In this game, I'm talking about the story.
Please.
You rescue Princess Peach from Bowser.
Rescue Princess Peach from Bowser. I obviously I want to say true, but it's going to be false.
It is false.
Why? So who do you rescue?
It's kind of true.
Okay.
Kind of false. You technically rescue Princess Toadstool, who I understand is Peach,
yes,
from King Koopa, who becomes Bowser. But at the time, it was Toadstool and King Koopa.
Wow.
And then it became more commonly known as Princess Peach and Bowser.
Do you know why they made those changes?
Peach is easier to say than maybe Bowser is more of a intimidating name than King Koopa. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe you find a language where that's like a slur or something like that.
Yeah, honestly,
like,
it could be something like that too. Yeah. Okay, back to Mario. This game was developed by Nintendo R&D4, later renamed Entertainment Analysis and Development. We've kind of gone through the story of the R&D teams and Entertainment Development, and all the different divisions, the development divisions of Nintendo. This one was responsible in its different incarnations for Legend of Zelda. The next year after Super Mario Bros, they were being developed concurrently by Miyamoto, which is wild.
Yeah.
Zelda 2, Super Mario Bros 2, Super Mario Bros 3, Super Mario World, F-Zero, Pilot Wings, A Link to the Past, Super Mario Kart, Star Fox, Link's Awakening, Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Pilot Wings 64, Super Mario 64, Wave Race 64, Mario Kart 64. All of these games that I've listed came out within roughly a 10-year period following Super Mario Bros.
That is crazy.
It's bizarre. Like no one will forget about Miyamoto's like influence on gaming and all of Nintendo's influence on gaming. But like in any medium, has there ever been a stretch of 10 years where someone has done more for the medium?
It can't be, right?
I don't think so.
No, it can't be. Because, you compare it to today, and today's wildly different than making a video game back then. Like, now you can make it, whatever. It took so little data.
It would take 10 years to make one of these games now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, do you like that game? Good. See you next decade.
Yes,
You're
exactly.
Like, okay. Yeah. That's unbelievable to work.
It's unbelievable. And obviously, like Nintendo, a well-oiled machine. Say what you will about them, and they frustrate me as much as I am very vocal about the ways in which Nintendo frustrates me.
Only because we love them.
Only because we love them, but also in some very frustrating ways. I'm showing right now to the camera. If you're watching over on YouTube, great. If not, I'll describe it to you. It's a Bluetooth Super Nintendo controller.
Amazing.
This is Nintendo manufactured. You get it directly from them. It's first party. But if you plug it into a PC to play with it, it just doesn't work. It's this frustrating. Like if you plug an Xbox controller into a PC, it works. A PS5 controller, it works. Nintendo's just like, no. You can play with this on the Switch, and that's it. And that's very frustrating.
And also, another frustrating Nintendo thing, because I just purchased a Switch game that we'll talk about next week, because we're going to talk about new stuff next week. It's about 300. It's about us. It's about Mario. It's about Miyamoto. Is that, if it's a game that's like a year old and the newer iteration has come out, they're like, well, you can get it for 75% off.
Yeah.
Nintendo's you can pay full price.
You know
what?
Like, pay more for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Why?
Because you waited too long.
Yeah. You should have gotten it the day it came out.
Yeah.
Do you know the story behind Super Mario Bros. 2?
No, but I would love to hear it.
So Super Mario Bros. 2 was originally released in Japan relatively soon after Super Mario Bros. 1 was released in Japan, but it was released as a very similar version to Super Mario Bros. With slight alterations and a much higher difficulty curve. Nintendo of America said, like, this is too similar to the original game. We can't do that. So instead, in America, they ended up basically reskinning this game called Doki Doki Panic, which was released in 1997 in Japan, and they put the Mario skins on it. They released it as Super Mario Bros. 2 in the United States, but it wasn't a traditional Mario game. You could play as Peach, you could play as Mario, you could play as Luigi. They each have their different kind of controls, which, becomes more common in the ways in which you control Nintendo games, but at the time was very rare. And then that game ended up being released in Japan later as Super Mario USA after the fact. And then what was Super Mario 2 in Japan ended up being released in North America as Super Mario The Lost Levels.
Oh my God.
This weird kind of like confluence of like what is actually canonically Super Mario Bros 2. And similar to not knowing the exact release date, it's like what actually is Super Mario 2?
I don't know if this is like completely a national thing, so I don't want to paint it like this, but it seems like a lot of Japanese games around Nintendo are kind of like, what is the lore? What is the canon? I don't know. There's a little mystery. There's a little bit thing. Whereas like if you ask an American publisher, like especially around Microsoft, like what is this canon? They're like, I have an encyclopedia to give you. You want to read it?
100%.
And you're like, they'll painfully go out of their way to describe the entity. And I'm, by the way, not saying that that's the right way to do it. Some mystery is really good, but like people are like, is Cranky Kong the original Donkey Kong? I don't know. Or like Nintendo's like, I don't know. Maybe. You think about it.
100%. I love the Cranky Kong story. That's the best. How Cranky Kong is the Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong game.
With Jumpman.
Yes, with Jumpman. And they've Rare kind of confirmed that. But again, that's not, Rare wasn't a Japanese company.
Yeah, Rare made a Donkey Kong game.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, back to Mario again. Yes. It was directed and produced by Miyamoto, and he designed it alongside Takashi Tezuka, who we've talked about on this podcast before.
Yes,
they worked together on some previous games, including Devil World, which was a weirdly named game, but had the original design for what would eventually become Yoshi. We talked about that in one of the Yoshi games that we did. Music is by Koji Kondo, one of the most prolific and iconic composers in video games. It remains to this day one of the best-selling games of all time.
That's amazing.
And I'd love it, Andrew, if you came with me on this journey of contextualizing what that means in gaming. So
Please.
I want to go over the top 10 best-selling video games of all time.
Of all time.
And you're gonna see this game in context to all the other ones and realize how special Super Mario Bros. Must be.
Okay. Number 10.
No, we're gonna start at number 1.
Number 1.
Because it's lower down on the list.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Leisure Suit Larry is number 3, actually. No.
Oh my God, you had me for a segment.
No.
Okay.
Minecraft, 300 million units.
Yeah, that makes sense.
GTA 5, 190 million units.
Unbelievable.
Also unbelievable, though, that Minecraft almost doubled the sales of GTA 5. Tetris, the EA version, 100 million units. Wii Sports, 83 million units. PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battleground, 75 million units. Mario Kart 8, 65 million units.
Wow.
So all of the games that we've done so far are like modern big games, and there's a clear reason why. I mean, with the exception of Tetris, the EA version, but that was a re-release that you could play on like mobile platforms and everything. So that's just a quick, like barely even like, I don't want to say barely a video game. It's obviously a video game, but you understand it's more of a puzzle, like time waster on your phone
agree.
Sort of thing. PUBG was great for streaming. Mario Kart 8 is a new release with modern systems, and they continue to sell. It's existed on the Wii U as well as on the Nintendo Switch, et cetera, et cetera. The next game is Super Mario Bros. At 58 million units sold in its lifetime. Obviously, worth keeping in mind, similar to Wii Sports, which is higher up on this list with 83 million units. It was packaged with the Nintendo Entertainment System, so a lot of them would have sold with the console itself. But I think it's still worth saying Red Dead Redemption 2 has sold less at 57 million units. There's I mean, it is amazing that it's on there.
Yeah.
But given the online community of Rockstar Games, it does kind of like GTA 5. Like 3 years from now, maybe it gets as high as GTA 5. Like, who knows? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
They just keep selling. There's a tie at 50 million units. Overwatch, Human Fall Flat, and The Witcher 3 all sold 50 million units.
Wow. Wait, Overwatch too, eh? Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Overwatch as well, not Overwatch 2.
Oh, yeah. No, Overwatch 2 is not on there.
No. And this is the one that I saw that really surprised me, because I would have assumed, I think that this would have sold more than Super Mario Bros. But the next on the list at 47 million units sold is Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow combined.
Okay.
I, for some reason, would have assumed that was
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that just shows the lasting impression of Super Mario Bros. I'm sure that's accounting for re-releases on like on the Wii and the Virtual Console and all that stuff. Who knows? But still, what an iconic game. Super Mario World isn't anywhere near there, and in my mind, that's a better game.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that's not higher.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But those are theirs. I just kind of wanted to contextualize like what it means to be in the top 10, the types of games that they're there. And one of the things that interested me about it is a lot of them are modern games. games.
Yeah.
With the exception, like the first exception is Super Mario Bros. At kind of in good company there. I found it kind of strange to think because this game feels so different from Jumpman and what I described as Mario Bros. But Miyamoto says that he did actually scrape inspiration from those games. And it makes sense when I read it. I'll read the quote from you when he's talking about the elements that he borrowed. Donkey Kong slopes, lifts, conveyors, belts, and ladders. You have all that in Mario. Okay. You know, the ladders, the kind of like conveyor things, slopes running up, whatever. Donkey Kong Jr.'s ropes, logs, and springs. The springs we actually ran across in the gameplay. And Mario Bros. Enemy attacks, movement, frozen platforms, so the floating platforms, and POW blocks. So he was kind of looking at like what worked in the past. Not necessarily what was the entire game and let's just make a sequel, but like what were the specific elements of these past games that I made and how do we implement them in this new one?
It's so funny where, you know, I think about Miyamoto as this like artist, right? Kind of like a movie director, like a Guillermo del Toro or something like that, where he's like, well, let me take a step into my mind and I'll show you what I do. It would be so disappointing to find out he is just like a mechanical technician where he's just like, yeah, this worked in the past. Why don't I just throw some blocks in there?
It's funny. You'd be like, because like he clearly has such a good set. Like the thing about game development is you do need to be that.
Yes, you need to be able to program
and to be able to know what is fun and what is good. And I think more than anyone in the gaming industry, he knows what is fun and what feels good. And that's so important. But yeah, so he must be a technical person. And then he just lets his fucking mind go with these mushroom kingdoms and all that stuff, which I actually wanted to bring up. Have you ever heard the theory that like Super Mario Bros. is kind of like a commentary on magic mushrooms and everything? I mean, there's the clear potential association. But.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And he's denied it. And I think it makes sense. I can see why people think it. It's like, oh, this magic world and you're on mushrooms and this and that, whatever. But the instead of it being that the game is kind of like an exploration of mushrooms, the mushrooms were kind of just a story beat to explain a game design element that they wanted. They started working on the game with small Mario, and they intended to just make him larger once they've like figured out all his movement patterns. It was just an easier way to make it work. Then they liked the idea of him changing sizes as a gameplay element, and they just looked for, through Japanese folklore, stories that would justify shrinking and growing, and mushrooms were always associated with these Japanese folklore tales of growing and shrinking. So they just said, okay, mushrooms can do that. Let's go to the mushroom kingdom because mushrooms are going to be there. And then that justifies this gameplay mechanic that we wanted to put in. It contextualizes.
Well, wouldn't it be, what's that fairy tale? The Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat and stuff like that?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. Isn't that the same thing where she eats a mushroom, grows too big and stuff like that?
Yeah. So that would be borrowing as well. But Miyamoto explicitly said that he was not inspired by Alice in Wonderland.
Legally, I need to say that I was not inspired by this.
But it has been said by Nintendo that he was inspired by that Mario was inspired by Mickey Mouse to some degree. They knew the popularity. I think the overalls have something to do with it. And
I'm very litigious.
and they are. But not for long.
Yeah, not for long. Got another year. TikTok, motherfuckers.
Here's some fun facts. You want to go over some fun facts of Mario? After its release on the NES, they made a version in arcades on the Nintendo Versus system. We've talked about this in the past, but it was basically like this console. The Famicom kind of translated nicely to arcade hardware. So they had essentially the same game. It's just you could play like two people side by side in an arcade cabinet. That was pretty neat. I think there were like small changes where in order to get a 1-up, you have to get 200 coins instead of 100 because they wanted more coins out of your pocket. I mentioned this on the gameplay segment, but the multi-coin blocks where you hit them a bunch of times were inspired by programming glitches. It happened and they're like, this is actually kind of cool if you just keep going. The fire bars in Mario Castle began as objects taken from Zelda, which was, I mentioned, being worked on at the same time by Miyamoto. The first mushroom you come across in the first level is purposely hard to avoid. You know how it kind of goes and bounces off the pipe and then comes back towards you because our vocabulary for gaming hadn't developed and they needed to show you that
this
mushrooms,
you want.
Yes, mushrooms were good, even though it's the same shape as a Goomba. Yeah. You want these, you don't want the Goombas, and they're like side by side one another.
And I've also noticed in this game when we just played it, the mushrooms are way bigger than they are in the future games.
Yes,
like
they are.
They're like bigger than you are.
I like that.
I do too. It's like an overwhelming thing of like, get it, it's big. You know, like we're giving you a chance at this one.
Isn't there a scene in the Mario movie where he has to eat like a massive mushroom and he's like grossed out by it? Isn't that a thing?
I think he doesn't like mushrooms. I think that's the joke.
But that would be hilarious if the only way to grow by the mushroom is you have to eat that mushroom that is the size of Mini Mario.
Yeah, finish it. Yeah.
You grow because you're really just getting obese. You're not.
Yeah. It's weird. We just had a year where a Mario game and a Zelda game came out again. Wow, that's interesting.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Two just iconic. Again, Nintendo. Slap them all you want. Slap them.
Slap them? Is that like a promise or a threat?
Slap them all you want, Andrew.
Don't look at me.
Okay, punch me then. Do it.
I'm gonna punch you.
Be a man. I'm sorry to ask you to do something you can't do.
Punch you?
Be a man.
Oh, okay. Okay. You need to relax, man.
Be a man.
Oh my God, podcasting has changed you. 5.5 years of the last podcasting. 5.5 years ago, when we started podcasting, it was like a bunch of comedians, and now it's like I need to sell bones that are dried up to increase your testosterone.
Yeah, but it works.
And it works.
I'm a red-blooded Canadian, Andrew. I bleed for the red, white, and red.
And in the same breath, I can doubt modern science and then but sell you fake products.
No. Modern science is fake. They're lying to you.
Yes.
But this pill.
Mushroom powder.
This mushroom powder.
Yeah, there you go.
This is good. Let's talk about reception before we talk about our experience going back and playing Super Mario Bros. I'm not going to talk about reviews for this game because those go without saying. They were fantastic.
Okay, they were,
came
right?
out.
It wasn't like they didn't get it at the time.
No.
Okay.
Everyone got it. Everyone loved it. I'm going to talk about Legacy. EGM, Electronic Game Monthly, my favorite magazine growing up as a kid, rated this the number 1 of 200 games of all time. So it was the best game of all time.
Best game of all time. Wow.
Official Nintendo Magazine also gave it number 1. Game Informer gave it number 2.
Famous alleged thief.
Not alleged.
Don't do this.
What?
You don't want him to come after you.
Miyamoto loves when I do that.
You're going to slap him.
That's a story where Snow,
a Canadian rapper,
who
allegedly,
I like you boom boom down.
Yeah.
Informer. You say that word. No, the other, the one that you expect
allegedly stole a watch at a friend's house party, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's something I've always thought about every time we say Game
Informer. Also, it was my brother's friend's house party, but I've just co-opted his story. It's mine now.
Yeah, 100%.
In my mind, it's my story.
Yeah.
Game Informer gave it number 2 behind Zelda.
Okay.
G4 gave it number 1. IGN rated it the best Nintendo game of all time. IGN has also done a lot of best games of all time list.
Yeah.
In 2005, the version they did, it was rated the best game of all time as well. But
in subsequent lists, drops for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. It's just let's just shuffle the deck again and see where it lands. In a 1990 report, this is speaking of Legacy as well. There was a report done to ask kids their familiarity with certain iconic figures.
Sure.
More kids knew Mario than Mickey Mouse in 1990.
Ooh, wow, 1990.
Yeah. Nowadays, I get
Nowadays makes total sense.
But
right?
1990, that feels like...
Mickey is just not in stuff, right? Like he's the figurehead of one of the largest companies, entertainment companies in the world. But he doesn't make movies or TV, right? Like, what? What are you laughing at?
I feel like you're skipping past one of the most iconic movies I've ever seen.
Movies?
Yeah.
Which one?
I'll give you a hint, dipshit.
Wow, Jesus.
Picture Mickey Mouse. You got him in your dumb, small little head.
I'm picturing.
Put a wizard's hat on him.
Yeah. Fantasia.
What
year did that come out in?
Yep.
Yeah. What year did that come out in?
Probably like 92.
I think it's the 80s.
Is it the 80s?
I don't know.
Well, no, but there's also Fantasia 2000.
Oh, yeah. And everyone remembers Fantasia 2000.
Clearly, I do.
Well, yeah, I think you might be one of the only ones.
I think I
Your
might be
taste in
one.
movies is sometimes hard to predict.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't love The Fast and the Furious as much as you do, Andrew.
My least favorite movie of the year last year is Fast 10.
Really?
Oh, it was awful. Yeah. But usually, yes, I do like them. Fast 5, where they steal the safe and they're dragging it down the...
There was a
Brazilian
point
streets.
in time when Fast and the Furious became, or Fast 5, like the franchise was at its peak.
Oh my God, it was good.
Are you looking up Fantasia?
I am. I'm looking up Fantasia.
To see what year it comes out.
Okay, so Fantasia, the movie. So in 1990, they said, I know Mario more than Mickey Mouse. And that's because we think Fantasia came out a couple years before, so that's really surprising. Fantasia came out in 1940. So
that can't be true.
Yeah, that's true.
That cannot be true.
Yeah, Mikey, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Yep, 1940. 41 in Canada. Because, you know, the trains.
Okay, no, that makes sense. 41.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much. Yeah. 40. No. Oh, okay. 41.
41?
Oh, okay. I take it back. Yeah. So
Andrew, why don't we get into it?
let's just move past that.
Let's move past that. We played Super Mario Bros. On our YouTube channel. We spent some good time with it.
Yeah, we did.
Boy, we sucked in the beginning. It was tough to get used to.
But then together, collectively, we both got better and we just started flying through it.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it's. I said this at the beginning of the gameplay segment. I knew it was going to happen. Every Mario game you play is similar, but the amount of floatiness and slide and the jump timing, it's always slightly different. You and I mainline Super Mario Wonder. We had a podcast about that game.
Yeah.
On or an episode about that game on the podcast a few months back,
Great
right
game.
when it came out. It was a fantastic game, and we were both very good at it.
Yeah.
We got used to the timing. It was no issue. But then you go back and play this, and it's almost like you have to. It's like learning Spanish when you know Portuguese. It's like similar, but not quite there. Like it's going to take some relearning. It took us a while, but from the get-go, were you having fun, or were you more just like, let me figure this shit out?
That's good. Wow, that's a good question. I was having fun. The trappings of Mario are fun. The music is fun. You get to see your little guy running around eating mushrooms, stomping on people's heads. Yeah, fun. Now, you're almost more than not enjoying it, you're almost self-conscious. Because not only are we on camera, that stuff aside, you're going, oh, this game I've played thousands of hours in this universe.
It's been out forever.
I know these controls. Here we go. And then you die very quickly. You're like, just got to pull it together here. Don't worry. Oh, a normal thing that happens all the time.
I think about that all
like not maintaining an erection. That feels like the exact same kind of thing.
That
no, I got it. Just give me 1 second.
Happens ever.
No, never happened to
me. It's literally never happened and literally never will.
But if it has been happening with you, we do have drugs. Just wait for the ad.
Blue Chew. Red, white, and Blue Chew.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's on every podcast.
Oh, yeah. We listen to different podcasts. It turns out I've never heard that.
You don't listen to Rebel News?
No, I don't. Oh, no. I must have missed the last
It's also by Rebel Wilson. It's really good.
Is it with Rebel Wilson?
Yeah.
Wow. She's having a very normal time.
Very normal time. No, I think you're correct. I think it's this weird assumption that you're going to be good at the game because I've seen it played a million times. It looks effortless when you see it being played well. Every time I pick up a Mario game, I'll compare it as well to Tony Hawk, where I know I'm good at Tony Hawk's, and every time I pick it back up, there's like a moment where I suck at it. I mean, you know this very well, actually.
Yes, I do. If no one listened last week, we played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and it's one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I played very, 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 very poorly.
See, I would have actually added one more variant into that. I'm just trying to just notes. And we can edit this out, but just notes.
So bad. It was so bad. It was so pathetic. And I have a little bit of PTSD, and I picked up Mario and I said, is this going to happen again? My hands are shaking. I was thinking about the Queen and baseball and yep. Wouldn't it be funny if those were your two fetishes and you're like, hey,
the Queen and baseball.
As you keep hearing you're like, hey, you want to keep going? Maybe think about the Queen. And you're like, oh, no.
Also, it's really hard to think about the Queen when you're having sex.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking? Holy shit, I'm having sex.
This is great.
I'm almost 35 years old.
13-year-old me is so proud of me right now.
So proud of myself. Yeah. Literally every time I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm having sex again. There's never another thought in my head.
I start naming people that have hit for the cycle that I can remember.
What's your go-to? Who's your...
Oh, Robin Yount, so sexy.
Robin.
Wow, that is such a pull. Robin Yount. He was a Milwaukee Brewers outfielder.
Or shortstop? Yeah, say it again.
No, outfielder.
Tell me more about this Robin.
Yount is also, sounds sexual of some, like it sounds like what you would call a vagina.
A yount?
Yeah. I'm
about to mount that yount.
Can I go down on you? I want to touch that yount.
I want to run the cycle on your yount.
Yes.
So this took a little bit of doing. Super Mario Bros. The first, almost to the point where the first journey we have through the Mushroom Kingdom is borderline not fun to watch. Yeah. But we ended up getting to the point where we were getting our bearings a little bit. I feel like we got better at Super Mario World quicker than Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, I would agree with you. We have more familiarity with that game, though.
Yeah, true.
That was our real Super Mario game.
But don't you also feel like it's a little bit more forgiving? It's a little bit less slippy.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, the controls are better. The graphics are better. I think there's some areas that help us.
Yeah.
And we just have more experience with it. But I agree with you.
Yeah, and that was kind of this weird barrier. I'm not saying I wasn't enjoying it, but we fairly recently went back to go play Super Mario World, and it was fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much fun. The graphics are so good. The sound is so good. This I assumed was going to feel perfect as well, and it felt a little bit off to me in the modern day. I got to be honest, especially because it's so comparable to Super Mario World, yet it's missing a few of the conveniences. Storing up a power up, going from the power to big to small is a much better feeling. And then just some of the additions like Yoshi being there or the variation in enemies and the music being a little bit better. Did you struggle with that at all or no? I feel like maybe you didn't.
No, I don't think I did. It's a different iteration of a game I like, but all the trappings are there to make you at least pick it up and be kind of good from the beginning. If this is a game we had like a game from 1985, we are not usually good at those games. Let's just be real.
It takes us way longer typically.
We were pretty good pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so like because by the end we were going through 5-6 levels without dying. And
so is that a thing though where, we clearly played this game at the pace the game wanted us to play. Mario is known for having an incredibly intuitive tutorial system, which isn't a tutorial system. It's just levels, but they parcel out information and mechanics slowly. However, this felt less fun while you weren't good than I think Super Mario World did. And of course that's the case. But I couldn't help but notice it.
And I'm not being a jackass, I promise you. I don't know if I wasn't not good at this game. Like I even when we played just now, I was like, I think I did pretty well for a lot of the time. So like, I'm not going to say you're alone feeling this way, but you struggled a little bit more than I did
in the early goings.
And maybe in the middle.
I refuse to believe what you're saying. These are all allegations.
Right.
Frankly, you'll hear from my lawyer.
Okay.
Did you say Mickey Mouse earlier?
I did, yeah.
Okay, you're going to hear from my
cartoon lawyer,
my Disney lawyer as well. I've had him since 1941.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a ride.
This is the release date of the Canadian Fantasia.
The only verson of Fantasia that I'll watch.
It's a flannel.
Yeah, exactly. So I know what you're saying, and I know that I'm being overly critical because I do want to sing the praises of this game.
Okay.
It is insane to me that this game came out in 1985. 6 years prior to Super Mario World and a generation of hardware behind. I like going back and playing it, to be honest, because we talk about this on the gameplay as well. At this point in my life, and I don't think it was just my life, I think it was everyone's life, the console cycle as we know it was very, very different. I remember concurrently playing NES and SNES games as though they were just different ways to play video games, not better or worse. It's like I had Duck Hunt if I wanted to play Duck Hunt, and then I had Super Mario World if I wanted to play Super Mario World or Contra or something like that. Because of that, I really have a hard time differentiating between Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, which I played a shit ton of, and Super Mario World. And I like kind of in my adult brain being able to go back and be like, oh, this song, this level, this structure, this image that I have in my head is from this game.
Yeah.
And this one is from that game. That's kind of fun to me as someone who considers himself somewhat of a gaming historian. I mean, we've been doing this for so long.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. You know what I mean? I understand that we got to be like kind of impartial here and we got to find things to talk about in things to improve. How did it improve? It wasn't like 1985, the game came out and they're like, well, it's perfect. Time to finish this one, you know? And we've said that there are iterations after that we preferred after that. So we have to find some areas to work on. But I still am just staggered by how immediate that you're like, oh, it's a pretty good game.
How immediately understandable it is.
Yeah.
How immediately simple. Because okay, here's a question.
Sure.
Do you remember your first time playing this game?
No,
neither do I.
I was too young.
I would love to put this in the hands of someone who has never played video games has no association with video games, to remind myself and themselves, I guess, what it would have been like to learn video games along with this. Because I think that's most people's entry into home gaming.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah. Weirdly, I didn't own NES, but my grandparents did.
Oh, yeah. I think you've said this before.
And so and they're not the ones that lived really close to us. So like every once in a while I get to visit them. I'm like, oh, here we go, you know? And that would have been where I played first. That's what I'm thinking about now.
Yeah. I know we had one in the basement. I think my uncle had one,
Sure.
but my first gaming memories are all associated with Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
And Duck Hunt,
Duck Hunt.
because it
Duck
had
Hunt's
that
the other big one.
split cartridge there. But just from a, to go back now, it's like the story of the mushroom and them wanting the mushroom to hit you so you knew it was a good thing. Like, yeah, why would you assume that that's good or bad or even know what good and bad is in the video game? It's wild to think that they were designing games at a time when they had to also teach the language of video games because it heretofore didn't exist essentially. It's just pretty cool. I like that. And they did a great job at it.
Yeah.
Like this is something that I don't think we give the game and Mario enough credit for. Knowing that we didn't have language for these games, our favorite early video game could have been something that was a fraction of as good as this, just because it was our first experience with it. And yet our earliest memory of playing a game happens to be one of the best games, not because it was first, but because it was also the best.
Yeah. I do you think video games are as popular without Super Mario?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And I think there's a hard line that you can draw, which is noted by gaming historians. There was a crash, the video game crash of 1983 or whatever it was. Atari was big. There was the boom. There were arcades, and then they just completely fell off. Yeah. Mario is credited, and the NES is credited with saving that industry.
Yeah.
And without a fucking home run, a home run that is good for people who have already been fans of video games and who are completely new to them, that Nintendo time and time again does that with the Wii. Our grandparents played the Wii. They were in retirement homes. Nintendo just knows how to make something that's good for everybody. Yeah. And it's incredibly impressive. And I don't think the gaming industry gets that bump. I'm sure we would have gotten back there, but not as quickly as it took. If you wipe Nintendo off the map, I read off that list of 10 of like 20 of the greatest games we can think of, including the Zeldas and Marios and Wave Races, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario 64, all this stuff. Those are wiped off the planet. Yep. What is gaming? Those are like the top 50 games of all time, and they were all made in this 10-year span.
Totally, and so many games that were inspired by this and stuff. So maybe video games become as popular eventually, but it takes a very different route to get there, or takes a lot more time. So yeah, it's really impressive that it came out in 1985.
It's very impressive. Almost as impressive as the fact that within the 35-ish minutes that we spent playing the game, we made it all the way to the boss of the second castle.
Woo!
And we died against him, but still, I think it was very impressive and commendable.
Yeah.
Man, that was one of the bigger things it took me to get used to in this game is no world map like there is in Super Mario World. So when you die, you just go back to the beginning. I mean, it's a factor of the NES not being able to remember your positioning, but
not really giving a lot of extra lives away either.
Yeah, it's like this is a hard game. This is you can sense the arcade roots where it's very, very punishing before they really started to differentiate between arcade and console, which we talk about all the time on this. But Andrew, do you want to get into it? Do you want to start getting into our review of this game?
Do it.
So let's start off, as we always do on this podcast, when we're looking back at some of our favorite old games, we give them a review based on our impression of the game back when we played it as little kids. This is out of 4 bits, and then we play the game, remind ourselves how it plays, and then we rate it once again out of 4 bits in the modern day against the likes of modern games. So Andrew, why don't you start off, give any more context that you have to your experience as a little baby boy playing this game, and give us your review out of 4 bits based on how you remember playing it.
Yeah, okay, so Super Mario Bros. And video games in general are so synonymous that it's really hard to separate the two of them. This is a game that, like we're saying, we can't remember the first time we were playing.
Yeah.
It was like we're born with a controller in our hand.
Yes.
You're like, oh, you're going to like this. And we did. And it was great. And thank God it was this and not something trash like you're talking about. This has to be a 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
It is hard to separate your impression of why you love video games and why Super Mario Bros. Are great. Those are almost the exact same topic.
Yeah.
And so, to give it anything less than 4 would be disingenuous for me. And between the music and the graphics and the controls, it shaped what video games will be. 4 out of 4, easy one for me.
I like it. I'm totally in agreement. It's almost like the reason why we didn't talk about the reviews of this game when they came out is because like we get it.
Yeah.
It's not about how good it was at the time. It's looking back on it, like how important it was to the industry. It came at a time when it was make or break for the gaming industry. Home console, arcade, everything was suffering. This came and just knocked everyone's socks off. It was a game that brought people in and was great at doing it. It showed off the hardware. It was ahead of its time. Andrew, I'm going to do something I've never done on this podcast before because I think it's warranted. And you tell me if I'm allowed to or not. I'm going to give the Retrogrades first ever 5 out of 4.
Wow. That's legendary. That's huge. It doesn't make sense with math, obviously.
I disagree. Do you understand quantum mechanics?
I do not know.
Okay.
Neither do
Real
you.
talk? I don't either.
I know that.
But if we say quantum mechanics, some nerd out there is probably going to find a way to make me right.
Right. Yes. Okay. So anything can happen in the quantum universe.
Spooky action at a distance.
Okay. So wait a second. You can give it a 5 out of 4?
Do you want to?
We can't give it a 10 out of 8. It's insane.
But you understand where I'm coming from? Like,
I know 4 to 4 is too small, too trivial.
It is because like I'm comparing this to Super Mario World, for example.
Yeah.
A game that I did enjoy playing more when I was a kid. But the history of what this game did. Super Mario World, I think objectively is a better game. It is a better game than Super Mario Bros.
Okay.
World is better than Bros.
Yes.
Which is, by the way, the tattoo, my favorite tattoo that I got.
World is better than Bros.
World is better than Bros.
This is how you traveled and left all your friends behind.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The difference is that the weight and the requirement for this game to be good and the way in which it answered the call is so much more significant.
Just like my favorite Ghostbusters movie. Sorry.
It's so much more significant for Super Mario Bros. Than it was for Super Mario World.
Okay.
It transcends games.
Okay.
It's more than that. It's the industry itself.
Wow. 5 out of 4.
Yes.
I'll grant it. So we're going to get a 9 out of 8, that normal fraction. And
Andrew, our spreadsheet just broke.
Computer's on fire. Bill Gates, you better answer for yourself right now.
Wait till I try to divide that 9 out of 8 by 0.
Oh my God. No, you can't do that. I better not find X here. Is 9 out of 8. So 9 out of 8. Wow. That's the highest it's ever been in the retro score. Obviously.
Ever been. Yes.
Incredible stuff. So we're going to go to our modern score.
Yes.
Also out of 4, hypothetically. And nothing means anything. And okay, I'll start.
Okay. You can't go 5 out of 4.
I can't?
No.
What about 7?
Okay, well, that one's not taken, so I guess we can do that.
I guess not. It's a really good game. It's really frustrating that the game could be 29 years old and still be so enjoyable. You and I had to stop playing out of, scheduling and episode, structure and stuff like that we couldn't release a 2.5 hour YouTube video version of this because we got to record the podcast.
Watch us.
What? Don't threaten us and go like, maybe it's, well, okay, we're going to do it. That's the reason we didn't do it. We would have kept playing this game. 29 years old. You and I keep talking about our backlog. We have hundreds of games that we want to play from the last 10 years. And no, I'd rather go back and play this. That says something. The game is not perfect. Now, obviously, you can look at modern graphics and modern games and the way the sound is and the amount of controls and the floatiness. Yeah, sure. Games have gotten better. That's understandable. It's been 29 years. But it is criminal that it is this good still. I am going to give this... I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 4.
Yep. Andrew, you're doing the thing that I think everyone was worried we would do.
Yeah.
By not giving it a perfect score.
Well, we still might somehow.
Still might.
If you give it a 3.5, it's still perfect somehow.
Well,
let me just tell you something. There, brother.
One of the reasons why I also wanted to go higher in the retro score is because, man, I hate to admit it, but a better version of this game exists today. If you and I stopped the recording, and we said, let's play a game tonight.
Yes.
It's going to be a platformer. It's going to be Mario. We're going to play Super Mario World.
Yes.
And we're probably going to play
Wonder.
Or honestly, at this point, I think I would go back to Super Mario Bros. Over Wonder.
Okay. All right.
But I would probably also go back to Super Mario Bros. 3 over Super Mario Bros. And it's a shame because they all learned from what was the GOAT of Super Mario Bros. But I can't help when I'm playing this game but think, oh, that kind of sucks. Oh, that's a shame. I'm used to this. And when I say sucks, I don't mean the game sucks, but I'm like, oh, I really do like this improvement, which is absent from Super Mario Bros. And unfortunately, it exists today in the modern day, which is the purpose of this score, against all of those other games. I try when I'm doing this sometimes to take the history out of the modern score because that's not always what it's about. However, it's still incredibly fun. I'm also giving this a 3.5 out of 4.
Wow. So a 7 out of 8 in our current scores. But let me tell you something, brother. That's a perfect 14 out of 14.
That's a perfect fucking 14 out of 14.
Wait, no, 16 out of 16. Wait, what are our scores out of? 16 out of
16 out of 16.
300 episodes. Next 300, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
301, I'll get it down. 16 out of 16. That's still obviously very,
pretty
very
good.
good. There's some room for improvement with magical math skills, but it's a perfect game. It's so good.
I want to see which other games got a 16 out of 16. I don't think anything did.
No, I don't think anything has.
So wait, what did we give Super Mario World?
11. No, sorry.
I want to look this up.
Yeah,
as we go.
let's look it up because now we have all this.
No, that did get a 16.
Oh,
That
it
got a
did.
16.
Okay, well then that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Well then, and that does make a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
That makes me feel pretty good about this.
So I wasn't sure if this plan would work out because I do weirdly think this game deserves a perfect score, but
it got one.
And it got one. It's just hard to compare against some of those other heavy hitters out there.
And other things that the studio made that are versions of this. It's not like it's like, well, this or Cruising USA. You know what I mean? It's this or the next Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario game. So like, I think that makes total sense.
The only problem is, Andrew, as we were doing this, I got a text message from the FBI.
From the FBI?
Yeah.
You're on texting terms with the FBI?
Yeah, WhatsApp is with the CIA because it's encrypted, but the FBI doesn't care about that.
Okay, yeah.
But they texted me and they did tell me they're coming for me after doing the 5 out of 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, you can't do that,
I
man.
think I shouldn't be able to do that.
I'm surprised not the Men in Black,
So we gotta head over to this award ceremony, and
quick.
then we're gonna talk about some of our 300th episode memories, Andrew. But before we do that, let's go over to this award ceremony. I'll meet you over at the red carpet.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in a disguise.
Okay.
When you see me,
Sure.
But I'll meet you over there. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
You've been waiting for it all year. The most glamorous award ceremony of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grady's.
Oh wow. Here we are.
What's this?
Shh.
What's this disguise?
It's so I thought I would go with the typical, like, that disguise where you have the glasses with the big nose and the mustache.
Groucho Marx.
I don't think he's hot. So I took the glasses off and I got the nose to a more regular size.
But you kept the mustache.
Kept the mustache.
So you look like yourself.
You think so?
Well, okay, that was a weird kind of compliment, which I don't really. You kind of walked yourself into that one that I didn't like.
I think I look.
I
What?
don't think
No,
that.
say it.
No, I don't think that. I think you're just trying to look like yourself. That's the issue. It's not really much of a
I'm not
disguise
trying to look
anymore.
like myself. I'm wearing the mustache, Andrew.
Yeah, but you normally have a mustache.
But mustaches are worn in disguises. I can't change the fact that I already have one.
Okay, that's a solid argument. You could put a big bushy beard on.
Yeah, but then you can't see the mustache, and that's a key part of my identity.
Not when you have one every day.
Well, I do have one every day. So that's why I have to, I can't get rid of it
Choose
for
something
the
you
disguise.
don't look like every day. That's the point of a disguise.
I don't think that's true at all.
Okay. Well, if the FBI can take it up with you on that one.
Okay.
Elliot!
Hey,
Happy 300!
Happy 300. He's there. He's got his Mario overalls.
Yep.
He's got the
No shirt, obviously, though.
No
because
shirt.
He's ripped to shit.
But it is kind of like a red undershirt because he is real sunburned.
Yeah, where were you?
Oh, you were chilling out with the fire plants? He's just burned.
He's just
not
burned.
sunburned.
Oh, that's
that's
like a
gross.
first degree burn.
It's honestly, he does smell good, like a little Armani cologne or something like that. He's smelling like crispy chicken already.
Yeah.
Hey, Elliot, unrelated to everything, were you rolling around in breading earlier before you
Elliot, you finger looking good.
Are you finger looking good? He's looking finger looking
he
good.
is.
You know what I mean?
Damn right. Yeah, what a snack.
Look at his mustache, though. See, he looks good with one.
He's in a disguise, though.
Yeah, so am I.
Okay.
We both have mustaches. We're both in disguises. I don't see
not
what you
the way
miss here.
disguises work. I don't have time to
All
explain
right,
this.
Elliot, why don't you reach into that mustache of yours and grab the list of cards that tell us the awards this game won.
He has a comical broom style mustache.
he does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He fits like an old glove compartment.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
And the field of childhood dreams.
If you play it, they will review it fondly.
And
The Chevy Silverado, like a rock, winning Johnson & Johnson Family Company Trophy Hall of Fame trophy.
Of course, episode 300 is going to get one right to the Hall of Fame.
it's almost like we planned that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't plan it.
Wouldn't that be great? We just started the game like, wow, 6 out of 16. That
This
game
is
sucks.
pretty shit.
Yeah.
Room for improvement, Shigeru. So obviously that's the fits like an old glove compartment. That's where the current score is above a 7. which it is.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got the Field of Childhood Dreams, where the retro score is a 7 or higher. That is obviously based on baseball.
Yeah. Nope. No explanation needed.
Okay.
It's about baseball.
It's about baseball. And the Chevy Silverado Like a Rock Dwayne Johnson and Johnson Family Company Trophy Hall of Fame trophy. It's been a while since we've said that.
Excited you didn't make me go like, you know it.
Oh, you just heard me. You say it now.
No. And
Please, episode 300, please try.
the Chevy Silverado Dwayne Johnson.
Nope.
The Chevy Silverado Like a Rock Dwayne Johnson and Johnson Family Company Trophy Hall of Fame trophy.
Andrew, it's simple as that.
Yeah, it's so easy. I don't know how I would have gotten that wrong.
That's where what is that score? It's over
14.
a 14 or higher. Yes. Yeah.
It's got that.
High praise.
Yeah, well, obviously, that's huge.
Yeah.
So
Just like The Rock himself.
yeah,
He's big. He's a big boy.
He's famously large.
He's famously large.
Just like a
and
Chevy Silverado.
Chevy Silverado and our entire back catalog.
Oh,
because now it's 299 episodes deep, because this is the 300th episode.
Absolutely.
We asked all of you, our loyal listeners out there, for a little bit of support. We wanted to know whether or not you would send us a message telling a little bit
or a memory or good tidings.
Yeah, so I'm going to read a couple of those. We don't have time for all of them, but we parceled through a lot, and we did respond to everyone who sent us. So thank you for sending it.
Good.
This one comes from Eli. This is to our email. Congrats on 300 episodes. I started watching you guys because of the Banjo-Kazooie episode. That was with Riley Little. And have been a big fan ever since. Since I caught up to your catalog, I've gone back and started re-listening to episodes over and over again when I'm cooking and cleaning. Always new, always some exchange, always some new exchange I didn't hear before that makes me laugh. Also, I think an amazing game to see you guys play and review was a delightful little game on the PlayStation 1 called Tomba. I am familiar with Tomba, and that may be in the cards. Who knows? Created by Tokuro Fujiwara after he left Capcom in 1995. It's an open world Metroidvania game with some RPG elements. That's the image of the guy with the pink hair. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I do. Is that what that game is?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I know
hands down one of Eli's favorite games in the entire world. Granted, he's not played it since he was a Wii Game Boy. That's a great way to say it. So heavy nostalgia goggles on. I can't see to see what you guys think. Thank you so much, Eli. That is very nice of you.
Thanks, Eli.
We've got a big fan of a long-term friend of the episode, Aaron Omar. Happy 300th episode. I came across the pod via a random retro game search on the now defunct Stitcher back in 2019. What I found were two naturally funny Canadians that immediately captivated me with their humor, love for games, and engagement with their audience. You guys are absolute class acts. Not only does Mikey coach me when starting Demon Souls, I've even got a shout out on the pod after getting the platinum. My favorite episode is hands down the insanity that is Roller Coaster Tycoon. Also one of my favorite episodes you and I have ever done.
Yes.
And it's janitorial staff full of clowns.
I forgot about that.
It's so good.
And then we talked about a ride that wouldn't end but would run over thousands of clowns on Main Street.
No, it was that we buried all our dead clowns, and as you put the asphalt in, you share.
Oh god, building a theme park on a burial site of clowns.
Yes.
Yeah, that would
that was one of the more fun episodes I think we've ever done. The moment that sticks out to me is the t-shirt design game from the Jackbox Party Pack episode.
Oh my god.
That was filmed and recorded during COVID, which is unbelievable. Hope to have you around for another 300. Shout out to Riley Little, Brian Bland, the Horse Eggs crew, Elliot, Meryl Streep, and Satan. Yeah, we used to say Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Meryl Streep, Doubt. How can we forget about Doubt?
100%. Thank you so much, Aaron.
These are great.
Warren John Hughes, 300th episode.
Nice.
I just wanted to say congratulations on getting to 300th episode. Stumbled across your podcast when I was working at home during the pandemic. I was lucky enough to have my family at home with me, but they couldn't care less about old SNES games. So having your back catalog to go through really helped through the weirdest of times. Love the natural feel of the podcast. Reminds me of sitting down at the pub with my friends, chatting shit and always throwing in obscure Simpsons references. Sorry for rambling on. Don't apologize. Anytime you want to compliment us, you can do that.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say congratulations and thank you for the work you put in. And thanks for playing Celebrity Deathmatch so that we didn't have to.
Famously the worst game we've ever played.
Famously. What the Famicom? The Famicom, our friends over there, we've been podcasting alongside them for a very long time. You should definitely check out their episode, their podcast there. It continuously makes me laugh. They've got a great social media presence as well. Dan from What the Famicom here, I just wanted to say you are the only podcast I still listen to since COVID, and with good reasons. You guys are insanely funny, and you've never changed your style or humor to appease anyone, including the advertisers, which is why we have none. You also, that was me.
Except for Red, White, and Chew.
Red, White, and Chew. Yeah, Red, White, and Blue Chew. I like that.
Blue Chew, sorry.
You also take huge swings with episodes sometimes, and I appreciate that. Your LA Noir episode belongs in the Smithsonian. Also one of my favorite episodes that we've ever done.
That was a lot of fun.
Congrats on over 5 years and 300 episodes. I hope someone touches your face like from Stephen King movie Thinner and curses you to do 300 more episodes. Remember that movie?
Thinner.
I've always thought that guy was really big and they made the actor lose weight. Nope, just a skinny guy. Fun fact, that guy played RoboCop in RoboCop 3. You don't need to see it. It's not good. RoboCop 2, on the other hand, where was I? Oh yeah, keep it up. Love you guys. That's amazing.
Oh God, I was thinking about Thinner the other day. That movie scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, Thinner was a very creepy movie.
Yeah,
I thought maybe
also not good. Like, let's just be clear. Like, if we went to go back and watch it now, we'd be like, oh, this is dog shit. But
well, I think it's a good sign. I think someone should rub America's face and curse them thinner.
is that because America has a beastie problem?
Beastie?
Obesity?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear.
It's just for health's sake.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to curse them for their health, positive health. Okay,
This
yeah.
is how dictatorships are started, I think.
Also, I'm God.
Also, I got. And then we've got Joe Griffin, who actually sent us a video. So I told him I wouldn't watch it until we started recording. Hey boys, here's a little highlight reel I made for you guys. We'll put this on the YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube as well. So if you guys want to watch it, you can either watch it when you record episode 300 or beforehand if you'd like. And I'm gonna download it here.
Yeah.
It's a video. You're 100%. You bet I'm gonna do a virus scan on this. This is for real. Who knows?
Like he did. He virus. That'd be the funniest thing you ever did. Here's a video, and it just shuts down our computer. And
I literally scan everything I download. I have like a virtual. Oh, here he goes. Here's Joe here.
Hello, Retrograde Podcast.
Can you hear that or no?
Yeah, I can hear.
It's Joe Griffin. 300 episodes. That's insane. My God. When I think of 300, I think of King Leonidas and the 300 Spartans. Of course, they all died. 300. Oh my God, that's incredible. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for making such an incredible, funny, hilarious, entertaining video game podcast. I think it's the best one out.
Hey.
And, of course, I'm a little biased. Here's a little highlight reel I made for you guys.
Nice.
I hope you enjoy it. And I think it kind of displays everything I love about the podcast and the genius of the podcast.
Let's not go too far.
Enjoy. Happy 300.
Ooh. Oh, the highlight reel. That's so nice of you to make. So we're watching this now as we go. And welcome. Joe Griffin, Alyssa. Hey, I'm Joe Griffin on. Joe Griffin. It's nice to meet you. Joe Griffin. Because Joe Griffin sent a
No
text
way.
Give another
Did we
shout
say his
out.
name
We've
this
got
many
Jay Griff
times?
on Apple
I'm just
Podcasts
looking at the
giving
bar
us
on the
an iTunes
bottom.
rating 5 stars. Andrew, the review. Farts. It was Joe Griffin from Joe Griffin. I'm Joe Griffin on Twitter. Joe Griffin on Insta. And hello, I'm Joe Griffin. Joe Griffin's Joe Griffin. Great handle.
Hey, I'm Joe Griffin.
Hey,
I'm
Joe Griffin.
Hey, Joe.
Peter's brother, by the way.
I'm sure he's never heard that before.
No, he hasn't, and that's why he listens to the Retrograde Podcast. That is amazing.
Happy 300th episode.
Okay, that is incredibly
very
nice. Of you,
Wow,
Joe. I appreciate that.
Jesus, I didn't know we said his name that many times.
No, neither did I. I
Hey,
think we
next
should
promise
say
for
it
next 100
fewer.
episode. No mentions of Joe Griffin.
No mentions of Joe Griffin whatsoever. Man, that was
that's so nice.
A ton of good mail there. Man, yeah, very good, very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, this is episode 300. The Retrograde Podcast has been one of the greatest things that Mikey, I'm going to speak for Mikey for a second. Shut up for a second. Is one of the greatest things we've ever done, and it's been so rewarding because of messages like that. And all the, when we started a podcast, we kept joking, man, what if 100 people listen? And we thought, we used that as a number because we thought, well, there's no way 100 people are going to listen.
Yeah.
100 people we don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I don't even know 100 people. So
Yeah, well, there you go. Perfect. So when we get messages like this, when we get the reviews, like what are we going to say on the review?
we're going to say you get used to them.
You get used to them. When we get these, it feels like magic. We sit in this room together and we just stare into a microphone and we talk and we just do our thing that we usually do. And then except you kind of don't see the part where it goes to people. You don't see people enjoy it. You don't see people. And then you get messages back. You're like, so people are really listening to this.
100%.
And not only that, they seem to enjoy it. honestly, it means the absolute world to us. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for making these 300 episodes so much fun and genuinely one of the highlights of my week to record.
I forgot we do have one other thing.
Oh, yeah.
This was given to us by by my player one.
Oh, okay.
A card. She makes unbelievable cards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, this is so good. It says happy 300.
Oh, look at that.
It's the little Marios. I think those are the Paper Marios. Just absolutely adorable.
They're so little.
Mario and Luigi.
Aw.
And it says happy 300 episodes to my favorite podcasters.
That's not true.
I think I win by default.
That's not true.
Yeah, she loves the Drag Race podcast. So
She
I think
loves Scott Ackerman? Is that,
yeah,
that can't
comedy
be
bang.
true.
We can't be the favorite.
Okay, so it's a lie.
I always love listening to you, even though I don't understand about, even though I understand about 10% of what you're saying, but I do know the meaning of those acronyms now. NPC, DLC, RPG, MMORPG. That's pretty cool, right? Love you guys, Carly.
Aw.
Love you too, Carly.
Yeah, she is off camera listening, just like Elliot. Sing next to Elliot.
That's very cute.
Well, that's very nice. So yes.
And I also just wanted to say one thing too. I'll now speak for you a little bit.
Yes,
too.
please do.
I'm a stupid
fucking dummy. I hate that I can see it coming. All right, please, you have the floor.
No, honestly, you said everything that I wanted to say. It's crazy looking back. Part of it feels like it's amazing. It's already been 6 years, and the other part feels like it's something that's always been a part of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, it's every time I play video games differently now because I'm thinking, I can't wait to talk to Andrew about this. I can't wait to kind of like banter about it. I have like an outlet for my gaming obsession, and that goes to both recording with you and to knowing the listeners are out there giving us their feedback and the number of amazing recommendations that I've got. It's become this weird symbiotic relationship between our listeners and yourself, and it's just become so ingrained in my life. And I appreciate everyone who's out there listening and who has listened. It means the world to us. If you haven't already, leave us that review. That goes a long way. Even if you want to say you get used to them, that will make us laugh. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. The Retrograde project, the Retrograde podcast has been an amazing project that Mikey and I have loved doing. So we can't wait to do more. Mikey, thank you.
Thank you.
And we love every single one of you. And we can't wait to talk to you soon. Episode 300. That's crazy. My name's Andrew Bascom, and with me as always is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the 300th episode of the Retrograde podcast.
Game over. Who the fuck was that?
Okay,
Who was that?
One of our departed friends is farting on us.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Oh wait, no, Kirby definitely has a butthole.